welcome to my first contribution to the Magpie 24/7 YouTube channel. This will hopefully become a regular occurrence. It should be a weekly thing, and I thought, what better way to start off this first episode, shall we call it, than with predicting the rest of the Premier League this season. I am recording this on Monday, so right before the Chelsea Wolverhampton fixture. We will get to that in a second. Firstly, we have to predict the game that was cancelled due to the weather. I think it was back in game week 15, which was Everton Liverpool. So first for the first game, and I promise not all the predictions will take this long. Um, but for the first game, I think I am going to give it to Liverpool. Obviously, I will try to be as unbiased as possible, even though that is hard for me sometimes. So, after we've filled in the Liverpool Everton results, we only have to predict Chelsea Wolverhampton, which is the game that will be played tonight. I think that would should be a 3-1 easy victory for Chelsea. Then we move on to the next game week, and this is the moment where I'm going to start filling them in a little bit faster. So for Liverpool, for example, I think they will have to win or will win by 3 goals to nil. Ipswich was really, really poor against Manchester City the other day. Wolverhampton will lose 2-0 against Arsenal, but without really having a shot at victory because they have been playing a little bit better, but I still don't think they have the players to compete with anything above 16th in the league table, and I wouldn't be surprised at all to see them go down. Brighton just absolutely love a draw. Everton love a goalless draw, so I'm going to give that one a 0-0. Now, us Magpies against Southampton. We have to bounce back massively from our result against Bournemouth, so I'm just filling in the same scoreline as it was there. I do think Southampton will get one, as they showed against both Man United and who did they play against yesterday? Nottingham Forest. That was it. That's a pretty solid defense, and they still scored two, so I think they should maybe will get one against us, but it won't be enough with Isaac scoring a hat trick. Isaac. Keep saying Isaac. It's Isaac. Anyway, for Bournemouth, Bournemouth will be facing Nottingham Forest, which is a very difficult match. I'm giving it a 1-1. Same goes for Manchester City facing Chelsea. I'm saying they will draw 2-all. Manchester City finally regaining some form while Chelsea losing most of their early season form, which had people talking about them like title contenders. Crystal Palace will be facing Brentford in a one of the London derbies. So I think Crystal Palace will probably edge that one 2-1. Tottenham, absolutely horrendous result again against Everton. Um, will they bounce back? They are 15th in the league. I'm saying 1-all against Leicester. So next up is Aston Villa West Ham, which is a very difficult game to predict in my opinion. Mostly because of the fact that West Ham now have a new manager in Graham Potter, but also because Aston Villa have midweek football this week with the Champions League recommencing and still 2 game weeks left to play there, which means their players will be tired. I'm saying a 1-0 victory to West Ham. And the last game of game week 23 should be full or will be Fulham against Manchester United on Sunday. Fulham have been really, really good this season, and I don't think Manchester United have played a single game, or they have played some good games, but they haven't been great for most part of the season. I think Ruben Amorim came out yesterday calling this the worst Manchester United in history, which is exactly the motivation his players need, I think. um, as for Fulham, Man United, I think that's going to be a pretty easy 2-0 win for Fulham. Moving on to match day 24, where we have Nottingham Forest facing off against Brighton and Hove Albion. I think they will edge that as 1-0 victors. We play at home against Fulham on Saturday afternoon. Listen, I hope we regain some confidence from the Southampton result. This is before our cup games against Arsenal and against Birmingham, I think. Yeah, Birmingham. We're facing Birmingham in the FA Cup. So I'm probably going to give this one to us again. Oh, not 31. That's a little ambitious, but 3-1 victory, Newcastle United. Everton facing Leicester City, another boring ass 0-0. Bournemouth Liverpool. Now, this could be a really interesting game as game week 24 is the double game week for Liverpool. So that means they have played Everton, uh, or they will ever play Everton a couple days later, I think, because a couple days earlier they should be playing Champions League football, probably, or they're playing cup football. Either way, it's a congested moment for Liverpool and in the season, especially given the fact Bournemouth, okay, they have a lot of players injured, but they shown against us that doesn't really matter because their starting 11 is still really really great. I'm giving it a 1-1. Ipswich Southampton. I think Ipswich should beat Southampton pretty comfortably. Southampton on track to become the worst Premier League side of all time. That's what you get for having such a cheat like Brereton Diaz in your team. Wolverhampton Aston Villa. I do believe Aston Villa win this, but it's closer than people think. Obviously, Villa, as I've said before, Champions League football, really great to compete on all fronts. Really difficult to compete on all fronts. Wolverhampton Wanderers, they can create some goals, especially with Matheus Cunha in the side. Strand Larsen, who's had a pretty okay season, in my opinion. But yeah, I think Aston Villa will just about edge that. Man United Crystal Palace is usually a game Crystal Palace gets something out of, so I'm going to give that one a 2-all draw. Brentford Tottenham, another London derby. Brentford are very very good at home, so 3-1 Brentford, maybe. I could see that happening. Arsenal Manchester City. Now this is a difficult game to predict because Arsenal aren't in the best vein of form themselves. We slapped them 2-0 at their own ground, which was great. This is right before they play us at St. James's Park, so I hope City can get their confidence in a ditch and win 1 or 2 against 1. Chelsea face West Ham at the end of this game week, and I think Chelsea run 2-0 victors. In game week 25, we start things off with Brighton facing off against Chelsea, and I'm giving that a 1-all draw. Brighton love a draw. Leicester against Arsenal, this should be a pretty straightforward victory for Arsenal. Same for Bournemouth, who will be winning 3-1 against Southampton. West Ham, I see them getting a draw against Brentford at home. Aston Villa, do they beat Ipswich? Ipswich are really good. I'm saying 2-all. I really rate Ipswich, man. Kieran McKenna has done an amazing job for a team that has achieved back-to-back promotions. Okay, they've done a lot of transfers this summer, but still a lot of that squad was there when they were in League One. So all credit to them. Manchester City Newcastle. I hope I hope Manchester City are still on a poor run of form. Wait, let's have a look at what we predicted. A win, a draw, and the massive win they just got. They probably won some games in the Champions League along the way as well. 1-all. I still think a 1-all draw is a positive result if you're Newcastle United, especially if you go and have to get a result at the Etihad. We already got a result at home this season. Unfortunately, it wasn't a win, but still we didn't lose, so I think we're just gonna draw with them again. Fulham Nottingham Forest is a difficult fixture because I do think Nottingham Forest are about the same level as Fulham are. Obviously, they are way higher in the league table, but that's one due to their amazing defense. Forest, that is, and two because the amazing goal scoring form which Chris Wood has found himself in, and I think that goal scoring form could drag them over the line against Fulham. But I'm giving it a 2-1 victory. No clean sheets on either side. Crystal Palace against Everton. I think Oli Glasner has finally got Crystal Palace sticking. So 2-0 victory. Liverpool will beat Wolves 4 against nil. And I think Tottenham Man United could be a sick game, because if you told anyone at the start of the season Tottenham Man United in the middle of February would be a relegation 6-pointer, I think uh, everybody would have laughed, but here we are. I'm saying a 2-all draw. Let the chaos and the carnage continue for them. Leicester at home against Brentford could pull off a shock in 25. The same goes for Manchester United pulling off a shock victory over Everton. Southampton win or lose 2 against nil against Brighton. Ipswich unfortunately lose against Spurs. Fulham draw with Crystal Palace. Arsenal, I think, beat West Ham. Bournemouth should comfortably beat Wolves. Aston Villa will beat Chelsea. We will, I think, play out a 2-all draw against Nottingham Forest. Do I really think that? We were great in the first game against Nottingham Forest this season, which was at their ground. So this is at St James's Park, a Sunday fixture. I'm sticking with 2-2-all. For Manchester City Liverpool, I'm giving it the exact same prediction. Brighton against Bournemouth. Again, Brighton love a draw. Nottingham Forest against Arsenal. I think Nottingham Forest could upset Arsenal and maybe get fans really dreaming about Champions League football. Maybe. Brentford at home against Everton, I think, run out 2-0 victors. Wolverhampton maybe could get a surprise point at home against Fulham. Tottenham will be obliterated by Manchester City. West Ham. I think West Ham win against Leicester. I really don't think Ruud van Nistelrooy is doing a very good job at all in this Leicester City side. Crystal Palace face off against Aston Villa. This is a difficult one again. I'm saying 2-all. Chelsea comfortably beat Southampton. Manchester United could struggle against Ipswich, 1-all. Again, I think the first leg was 1-all as well. Us against Liverpool, I think Liverpool will be wrapping up the season at this point, so they probably beat us. I hope they don't, but this Liverpool team has been fantastic this season, let's be honest. Gravenberg has been great. Salah has been on another planet. Diaz, Gakpo have both been fantastic. Van Dijk has been great again. So, yeah, massive credit to Liverpool. Most likely are going to win the league. I don't think we have to wait till the generated league table at the end of this video to know Liverpool will be title holders after this season. Or title holders again, I should say. Anyway, Tottenham, I think Tottenham upsets Bournemouth with a draw. Man United against Arsenal. Now, this is a game I see Manchester United winning because they just do those crazy things. I think this will be a season of where Manchester United finish low in the bottom half, but still have some absolutely fantastic and memorable games, such as this victory over Arsenal, such as knocking Spurs out of the cup, such as knocking Arsenal out of the FA Cup. Brentford, however, will lose at home against Aston Villa. Wolverhampton will draw 0-0 against Everton. Brighton lose 2 against 1 to Fulham. Crystal Palace and Ipswich, I think. Upset victory for Ipswich. I'm doing it. West Ham against Newcastle. Now, this should be this. And I'm going for this because after the performance we had against West Ham at home, anything less is not acceptable to me anymore. I'm sorry. The same goes for the Crystal Palace game, which is, I think, in the next game week, but it will be a suspended match as we will play the EFL Cup final. I genuinely hope I haven't jinxed it there. Us at home against St James's Park, in St James's Park against Arsenal. Let's pray to God I didn't jinx it there. But first of all, before we go on to that, 5-1 victors against West Ham. I think Nottingham Forest lose 3 against 1 to Manchester City. Liverpool win 6-0 against Southampton, and Chelsea beats Leicester 3 against 1. Bournemouth against Brentford, and as you see right here, Newcastle Crystal Palace is game week 29. So I'll be more cautious. Yeah, I'll be more cautious this time, and I'll say, let's hope this is the game week that where Newcastle and, let's be honest, probably Liverpool blank. Anyway, Bournemouth facing Brentford. I'm giving it a 2-0 victory to Bournemouth. Arsenal facing Chelsea. I think Arsenal win this 3 against 2. Could be a cracker. Aston Villa maybe draw against Liverpool. Everton lose against West Ham, the David Moyes derby. Fulham, I think they win against Spurs. Ipswich won't have enough, in my opinion, to beat Nottingham Forest. Leicester City draw against Manchester United, right? And right after the game against Arsenal, in which I predict they will beat Arsenal, so that would be United this season down to an absolute T. Manchester City run out 2-0 winners against Brighton and Hove Albion. Newcastle, if our game doesn't get suspended, it's probably on Saturday, and if it doesn't get suspended, I will be there live in action, or not in action. Well, yeah, in action actually, in action from the stands. But I will be there. If it does get suspended, however, due to the EFL Cup final, uh, if and when we knock out Arsenal, then this becomes a midweek fixture, I believe. But even then, midweek fixtures underneath the lights at St James's Park. 3-0 victory for Newcastle. Southampton Wolverhampton is the last game of this game week. And I'm giving it a 1 also. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Game week 30. Bournemouth against Ipswich. I'm noticing Bournemouth kick off a lot of the game weeks. Yeah, something I've noticed. uh, don't know what to make of that any further. Bournemouth and Ipswich, I think, play out a 1-1 draw. Arsenal and Fulham. Arsenal beat Fulham 2-1. Bournemouth again, no. Brighton facing off against Villa. I think Brighton, not 9. Brighton come out as 2-0 victors. Nottingham Forest will be facing off against Manchester United, meaning I'm saying 2-0 Manchester United. Upset victory, Nottingham Forest denting their Champions League hopes. Wolverhampton will lose 1-0 against West Ham. Don't think I've predicted enough 1-0s, but hey, it's a pretty boring scoreline, so I hope I'm right. Chelsea against Tottenham. Now, this will not be a boring scoreline, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to give this one a 3-all draw. Manchester City against Leicester City. Now, this could be an absolute thumping, but I'm sticking with 4-0. Us at home against Brighton. Now, we did knock out Brighton out of the cup, but we lost to them in the league. So I do think there is some revenge to be exacted there, and I also simply believe we have a greater squad than Brighton do. We beat them, I think, the last game of last season as well. So 3-1, 3-1 victors again. Southampton lose against Crystal Palace, and Liverpool face off against Everton. I think this is the return game. I'm sorry, we already went over the game which is suspended. I think Liverpool win 2-0. Now, Aston Villa face Nottingham Forest for the first game of game week 31, and I believe this could be a 1-all draw again. Brentford lose 2-0 against Chelsea. Crystal Palace, I'm saying Crystal Palace win against Brighton. Everton draw again with Arsenal. Fulham have a really good go at Liverpool and draw 2-all. Ipswich probably win against Wolves. Leicester never win against us, so 3-0. Or they won't win this season against us, is what I should say, because overall our historical records are pretty evenly matched. The Manchester Derby could be a cheeky 1-1. Tottenham, I think even Tottenham win against Southampton. And West Ham maybe do a number on Bournemouth and draw. Bournemouth kicking off game week 32 again, facing Fulham and winning 2-1. Arsenal winning 3-0 against Brentford. Brighton winning 2-1 against Leicester. Chelsea drawing 2-all against Ipswich. Liverpool and West Ham fighting out a 2-1 victory for Liverpool. Manchester City lose to Crystal Palace, because I do believe Crystal Palace is their bogey team, kind of like Bournemouth is ours. Newcastle obviously beat Manure at home. Let's be completely honest. For the first time in forever, we can actually genuinely state Newcastle are favorites whenever going into a game against Manchester United. And I know maybe last season and the season before that you can say the same, but let's not forget, even in our Champions League season, they finished a place ahead of us. And last season was only the first time in our club history that we actually finished above Manchester United. So this is kind of historical for us to be able to say that whenever we play Manchester United this season, we should be the favorites to beat them. Nottingham Forest, I think they maybe draw against Everton. Southampton get beat by Aston Villa. Wolverhampton beat Tottenham, because Tottenham are really, really shit. Game week 33, Aston Villa at home against us. I think Aston Villa drag out a draw. Brentford, they win against Brighton. Crystal Palace draw against Bournemouth. Everton lose against Manchester City. Fulham draw against Chelsea. Ipswich lose against Arsenal. Leicester City loses quite massively against Liverpool, or quite embarrassingly, I should say. Man United win against Wolverhampton. Relegation 6-pointer for them. Nottingham Forest lose to or win against Tottenham, and West Ham win against Southampton. I believe in game week 34, Bournemouth will win against Manchester United. Arsenal will win against Crystal Palace. Brighton will draw with West Ham. Chelsea will win against Everton. Liverpool will draw. I mean, if they draw, it's going to be a way crazier scoreline than this. But actually, I'm going for a 4-2 victory for Liverpool. This is, fun fact, the highest scoring game in Premier League history, with the second highest scoring being Liverpool Arsenal, and the third highest scoring being, you guessed it, Tottenham Newcastle. Anyway, Manchester City against Aston Villa. This could be, probably will be a 3-1 victory for Manchester City. Then we face Ipswich at home. This should be a pretty straightforward win for us again. Nottingham Forest facing Brentford at home. I think they beat Brentford. Do they beat Brentford this easily? Maybe not. 2-all draw. Southampton lose against Fulham. Whenever I see Southampton, I'm just going for a loss. I mean, most chance to be right, I guess. Wolverhampton Wanderers win 3-1 against Leicester. Game week 35, we're nearly there. Arsenal, I think, run out 2-0 winners over Bournemouth. Aston Villa beat Fulham 1 against nil. Brentford lose to Man United 3-0. Brighton. Now, Brighton is a team. Not only do they love a draw, they are really, really difficult to play against. Chelsea lose to Liverpool. Crystal Palace draw with Nottingham Forest. Everton draw with Ipswich. Leicester. You know what? I'll throw Southampton a bone. Manchester City, I think they demolish Wolves. And West Ham Tottenham could be a cracking game, but I'm going for a Tottenham victory in the end. Game week 36, Bournemouth kick it off against Aston Villa. I think this could be a really, really fun game. 2-all. Fulham probably win against Everton. Ipswich maybe drag out a draw against Brentford. Liverpool facing off against Arsenal. Now, if this was a closer season, this would be a really, really great game to happen this late in the season. But I do believe Liverpool will have wrapped up the title by then, which will not motivate the Arsenal players enough to really have a go in this fixture. Man United kind of get their act together at the end of the season. I think Amorim is the right appointment. It will just take quite a lot of time to get used to his system. We face Chelsea, and I do believe Chelsea is the team which will do the double over us this season in the league, which will absolutely suck because I fucking hate Chelsea. Absolutely despise everything about that football club. Nottingham Forest, I think, run out 2-0 victors against Leicester City. Southampton gets destroyed by Manchester City. Tottenham win 2-0 against Crystal Palace. And Wolverhampton draw 1-all against Brighton. Second to last game week, we face Arsenal. That is a really tough fixture to have at the end of the season, which means 2 losses for us out of our last 3 game weeks potentially. That's rough. That's really, really rough. Aston Villa beat Tottenham 1-0. Brentford. I mean, Brentford are great at home. Will they still be great in game week 37 when they're at home? Probably not. Fulham victory. Brighton facing off against Liverpool 3-1 again. Chelsea, I think, beat Man United 2-0. Crystal Palace just about scraped past Wolverhampton. Everton beat Southampton 2-0. Leicester lose against Ipswich. Manchester City beats Bournemouth. And West Ham beats Nottingham Forest. For the last game week, now This is where the cookie crumbles, obviously. Bournemouth, I think, will pretty comfortably beat Leicester. Fulham could upset Manchester City in what is already a pretty upsetting season for them. I think Ipswich will win their game, maybe possibly just about stay up because of that. Liverpool win 2-0 against Crystal Palace. Manchester United draw 1-all against Aston Villa. We win 3-1 against Everton. I know Everton is a side against which we are prone to draw, but I think when it's everything to play for, and it most likely will be, I do think we can get it out of the bag against a team like Everton. Nottingham Forest draw against Chelsea. Fantastic game for the last game week because of the Champions League race, in my opinion. Southampton, no chance against Arsenal. I think Tottenham finished the season on a high, and Wolves draw 1-all against Brentford. So now, this is the most interesting part of the video by far. So I hope you've stuck around with me for this. We are going to calculate, and this calculates for us the table. And looking at this table, I'm already very, very happy because obviously Liverpool won the league. Arsenal finished in second and Manchester City in third. But I see Newcastle United in fourth, and that makes me unbelievably happy. Nottingham Forest in fifth, we just tipped them on goal difference, meaning if English teams don't do as well as we expect them to do in the latter rounds of the European competitions this season, and we are stuck with only our four Champions League positions and don't get that fifth due to the UEFA coefficient, which now awards, I think, Italy and Germany with a fifth spot, although it would really surprise me if we didn't overtake Germany. But if that were to be the case, this would mean we still would get Champions League football next season over Nottingham Forest, despite them having such a great season. However, I think for now, we will just assume the English teams won't disappoint, and we will have five Champions League positions available to us, which means both Newcastle United and Nottingham Forest will be playing Champions League football next season. Chelsea are in sixth, which means they upgrade from Conference League football to Europa League football. Bournemouth play Europa League football as well next season, if my predictions are correct, which is absolutely fantastic to see for them as well. Fulham finishing in ninth, which means Aston Villa are the last team that achieve European success, doing the same thing which Newcastle did last season, going from a Champions League season to finishing in the Conference League spots. But maybe if there's an FA Cup winner who isn't in these European conversations, say for example, a Manchester United, a Tottenham, an Ipswich, who knows, um, those teams will then take Aston Villa's Conference League place. If it is a team that already has qualified themselves for European football, then Aston Villa will just be Conference League bound. Pretty interesting for Europe. As for down further the league, I see Manchester United finish inside the top 10 against all odds, overtaking Crystal Palace, who always seem to finish somewhere between the 40s and the 50s. So again, on 50 points, just about not surpassing that threshold, shall we say. Brighton are right behind them, and West Ham also got their season back on track. Brentford surprisingly low, actually, even underneath Spurs in 14th. I know Spurs is very low as well, but let's be honest, this is a one place improvement on where they are right now, so I think they'll take it. Underneath Brighton, Ipswich Town, and pretty comfortably surviving as well, in my opinion. 10 points clear of Wolverhampton Wanderers, who are going down alongside Leicester and Southampton. Southampton going down as the worst Premier League side of all time. Pretty much because Derby actually drew some games and Southampton just straight up lose every single goddamn game. So this is my finished Premier League table, and I must admit, I am really excited by this. I really, really hope I'm right, because this would mean a lot of exciting stuff for one, us, because we are playing Champions League football next season, which comes with obviously the revenue, which comes with the attraction, which comes with massive nights underneath the lights at St James's Park. Nottingham Forest would be joining us in the Champions League. Bournemouth would be playing European football. Ipswich would stay in the league. Wolverhampton would go down. Yeah, I think I've probably been a little too optimistic with this league table, but if this is how the season finishes, I will be unbelievably happy. What would you have done differently? What would you have predicted differently? Where do you think we will finish and other teams will finish? Please let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share this video, subscribe to the channel, and also follow our socials, Magpie 24/7, both on Facebook and on Instagram, as well as on X and on TikTok. Please go check us out on all of those applications, and I hope to see you next week with the next video. Bye.